don't have hair sticking out somewhere. To music? My music breakthrough was probably around 97, 98. When I released my first single, Misawatu, which was like a #1 single that, like, for about 4 weeks on the radio. So that was my first coming out, like, on the scene as a musician. Misawatu, 98, yeah. Well, I'm a legend.
Yes, you are.
That's my
yes,
take.
You are.
I didn't choose to be one. And if I go back to the younger Nazizi, there's not one day where I thought all this is going to amount to me being a pioneer or really respected. It was mostly about my passion. I just used to wake up every morning and I had this burning feeling that I'm supposed to be doing something so great, but I never knew what it was supposed to be. So when I landed on the music, my heart kind of settled and I was like, wow, this is what I've been feeling in my spirit, that I have to be doing something different, you know. So, you know, the music industry is very tricky, and producers and record companies, they want a lot from you. I was like privileged to work with Ted Josiah and David Mureithi and a couple of guys who allowed me to a certain extent to be what I want to be, to express myself how I want to express myself. And I think that's what got me to being a person whom people look up to. It's because I was allowed to be authentically me. I took a lot of grooming before I could be a role model, because I didn't want to be a role model. I want to be an artist, I want to be a rapper, I want to be like up to no good all the time. And then they're like, but Naz, you're a role model, you can't go out there doing crazy things anymore. And so it was a lot of grooming and a lot of me following my passion. And I'm just like glad that artists look up to me now, because it shows that the last 21 years of my life, other people when they were 15, 16, I don't know if they can say now what they were doing. Now I can say. You were just going to school and coming back. Well, for Naz, it was about school plus studio plus big dreams. And so I'm just very glad at this point in my life I can say, since I was 15 and the last 22 years has made a big impact in my life, like doing what I love to do, which is music. Yeah. I met Waire outside the studio. So we used to go to Ted Josiah's studio, and because Ted was a very famous producer, he never had time for us at that time. A lot of artists used to come, and then we used to be told by the guard, ngojeni hapo nje. So that's where I met Waire. Tukingoja hapo nje, like, you come today, like, is Ted gonna get us allowed to see us today? Then it wouldn't be today. But he wouldn't give up and I wouldn't give up. So we'd always meet outside the studio at the gate, sitting on the side thing like, oh man, he hasn't let you in. Like, no, okay, maybe today, right? So one time actually what happened is, I think Ted got tired of hearing that we were always there. He's like, let me just see these kids once and for all. And he just grouped us accidentally. He was like, can you two do something in the studio? We're like, no, he's an R&B artist and I'm a rapper. We're not a group, like we just came here as solos. But because he didn't have enough time and we were nagging him, he just wanted to put us on one song. So that's basically how Necessary Noise started. What happened was, so me and Waire, when we recorded the song, Ted really liked it, but he thought that we needed a male rapper to balance it out. So he gave us an assignment to go out and look for one more guy and we can make a group. So first of all, we weren't even into this group idea. Now he's sending us to find a third guy. We're like, man, what is all this, you know? And actually, when we did find Bamzi and he joined us, K-Rapt actually joined us first. The late K-Rapt. He actually came as the third member of Necessary Noise, but then left before we got anywhere. So we brought Bamzi on, and then Bamzi brought that English rap vibe. So it kind of was nice. So even in our first performances, we didn't have a group name. It used to be Nazizi, Waire, and Bamzi. And then after some time, they were like, you guys, you can't be introduced to this, your solo names. You have to find a group name. So yeah, that's basically how it came about. So what happened is basically when Necessary Noise opened for Sean Paul in Kenya, it was weird. We got two shows actually. We got the Nairobi show and the Mombasa show. So he was kind of like, "Who are you kids? You know, why did I see you in Nairobi and then here you are again in Mombasa?" He was like, "You guys are big out here, huh?" And so we just kind of started talking about that. We were staying also in the same hotel, and he wanted to get his hair done. And yeah, so it kind of came about like that. But it was fun because it was like he was recognizing us as youths who are working hard, because we were really young, and he was like, "Why are you guys here again?" You know, so that was really cool. Oh yeah, many times, especially when I started my hair, because that was during the anti-Mungiki and all. Like, Kenyans were still not even open to the fact that a woman can just have dreadlocks, you see. So there was a lot of discrimination, but actually for me, most of it came from the people closer to me. Not really strangers, but you know, your family, people who are like, "Why do you want to do this to yourself? It's like a curse, you're looking for a curse." And I'm like, it's me, you know, I was never that kind of girl who wants to go to the hairdresser 20 times in a month or whatever. I can't deal with it. I'm like, I have such a big cause in my life that my hair is gonna look like this all the time, because I want to focus on the bigger issues, on helping the young people, on motivating them, and so I don't have time for that. So they didn't look at it like that. They looked at it like I'm choosing a worse off life, like I'm cutting out my opportunities and I'm cutting out my future by having the dreadlocks and by doing music. So they didn't see the potential in it until much later. And they're like, "Oh, okay, we kind of understand what she's trying to do." But it took a very long time. And it really, really hurt, because it was from people who were close to me. The ones that I cared about the most, who didn't understand about dreadlocks or being Rasta, yeah. So this one is, okay, like my family, it's really against my tradition to do this, right? But every time we have like a wedding in the Swahili culture, what they do, hina. So this first one is inspired by the hina patterns. So it's like a hina tattoo to represent my culture and how I was raised. And then the other one is it goes all the way up. It's a balance scale, because I think life is all about balance. And in my life, every time if I unbalance a bit, that's when I have the most challenges. So I'm striving to be a balanced human being every day. So my scale is an unbalanced scale, because I haven't attained balance, 100% balance, mind, body, and spirit. So I drew the scale and I made it like not balanced, to remind me of how much work I have to do to become better every day. And then I have a lion on the inner of my arm, and some lines, and these lines are like the strengths and the challenges I've had. They all have different sizes and colors, and they all surround the lion. The lion is still beautiful. So that's the story of these tattoos. I have so many more that I can't explain right now, but these ones on my hand were significant because they're the most visible ones. But I've stopped for now. I gave myself a break because I was going overboard with it every day, every other week. So yeah. Yeah, you know what I think? I think just like fashion trends, yeah? Music trends are ever changing. What we grew up listening to, like I can remember Kenyan radio when I was growing up was predominantly Lingala music. Western Africa, Congo, and Koffi Olomide and Papa Wemba, and that's what the radios used to play. And then came this surge of the American 80s, 90s music and hip hop and soul music, and so the trends are always changing. With reggae, we have to remember that the message changes all the time through generations, but there's one common factor: the motivation and giving hope through reggae music. So they will always say reggae is dead, but I believe reggae can never die because the message is still strong. It's just that in some periods of time, we don't have strong artists to push the message. And then we'll have a burst of new, fresh artists, and then maybe a long period of time. And it happens with every music industry, like Kenyan music industry. I can say the late 90s to 2005-6 was like the highlight. It was buzzing. And then we had a very, very long period of what's happening to Kenyan music. But look at Kenyan music now. We have a whole new generation of new faces, new voices coming up. So I think we just need to accept that music trends, go up, go down, and they always come out with more interesting sounds at the end of the day. Yeah. Firoz was one of those people who would always come in like, you need to do another song today. We're going to the studio today. And I'm like, nah, I don't feel like. He's like, we don't care if you don't feel like you're going to do it. And so he used to push me, and used to really believe in my music, maybe even more than I did. So when he passed, it was not just about losing a brother, it was losing my everything. Like, I wasn't even motivated to go to the studio to record music anymore because I didn't have the same feedback, I didn't have the same support. When I used to go to the shows, it wasn't the same anymore. So a lot of my music reminded me of him when I went to the studio, and so I tried to stay away for a while, from it. But again, coming back and writing more music was still because of him, because I thought if he was here, he would be on my case like, bro, 1 year you haven't recorded a song. So at the same time, I had to kick myself out of it and be like, Firoz, wouldn't want you to just sit around and not do music because he's not there. He would actually want you to push harder and more. And so I had to sometime, remember those things about him. Until today, remember, like when I'm having something that I want to decide on and I can't speak to him, I always have to go back and think, what would Firoz's advice be? Would he be go for it or leave it alone? He always had the best. He was younger than me, but he knew so much, And so, yeah, I truly miss him because of that. But I say he still motivates me up till this day. Yeah. Okay. Actually, let me tell you, I had an amazing marriage, and it's something that I tell people and they wonder. They're like, so if it was amazing, then what happened? You see, one thing I would have wanted maybe to know before is just that things happen in life that you can never ever expect. There's nothing more you can, I think, as me, I could have gone into marriage without knowing, because I knew him very well. We've been friends for a long time. So I was mentally prepared. I was ready to settle down and have a family. But you never know what the future holds and the challenges that are going to come. And what I can tell everybody is when you come from a failed marriage or go through a divorce, sometimes the divorce is not even about a failed marriage. It's about a mutual decision about growing as individuals, moving past this plateau where you are and growing further. What I can tell people is that don't stay in depression, don't blame yourself, don't overthink it like you're not good enough, because I truly believe people stay in your life for as much as God has planned them to be there for. And what hurts us is when we're too much why could I have done, maybe if I'd done this, or maybe if I did that. That's what destroys us. But if we just accept that, okay, this person was put in my life for this amount of years by God, he has finished his mission with me, then it's easier to accept and move on. And also maybe I'd encourage people to just remain friends, because at the end of the day, carrying hatred and a lot of bitterness in your heart is so costly for your peace of mind, And I've seen a lot of women and even men who are really bitter with their ex-partners, and I'm like, you have energy for that, to carry that bad energy in your heart every day, hating somebody. It costs too much of your mental, peace. So I would advise people, maybe don't be hard on yourself, don't overthink it. When things don't work, just, it hurts, go through the feelings, but don't stay in it for too long. Oh, well, I'm telling you, Tafari is like Firoz, by the way. He's a go-getter. And I took him to the school that Firoz went to. And apparently it's the same school that our president went to as well. So he's very outgoing. He's a performer. He's been in the school play. He comes on stage with me. And I think it's because he's like very out there that they chose him to meet the president, because he's in school plays and stuff, and he knows how to handle the limelight. He's very calm because he's on stage when people are screaming my name, and he's very calm, So it made me feel happy, because to me it shows me that he's on his own path. I started my own path when I was 14, 15. For him, I wanted it to be much earlier than me, to get a bigger head start. What I think is important about that is, as a young kid, so, there's moments when you're growing up and something great happens and it just motivates you to be greater. For me, that's what I was happy about. for a young 9-year-old boy to stand near the president and cut cake and have a little small conversation, I think it's impactful for him for the rest of his life. Like, if I was able to stand near the president, then I can achieve so much more. So for me, I hope that's how he looks at it, because that's how I looked at it. Like, I hope this is a point in his life where something in his mind will push him to achieve more greatness. I'm really excited, first of all, to be on Vibes Radio. My show is Season Second. That's Monday to Friday, 7 to 10. And my co-host is Ras Riddick. We only met for the first time a few months ago. But we have great chemistry. And our show is basically roots conscious. So we play roots reggae. We talk about conscious issues.